strength hugely important, I suppose, especially the GA with so many advances, and teams are kind of getting to a plateau level of I suppose physical fitness and I suppose the tactical preparations, where I think that little mental side of things can be the real edge, and things that go into games, with a clear head, nice and relaxed. I think it's, I suppose, hugely important. As I said, it is the kind of, I suppose, it can be that little spark that can kind of, I suppose, be the difference between winning or losing a game.
An All-Ireland final is broadcast to tens of millions of people. It's streamed online. It's probably shown in every Irish pub and restaurant across the world. How do you deal with that level of pressure?
Dealing with the, I suppose, pressure in All-Ireland final day really comes from preparation and things like building confidence, reacting well to mistakes, or I suppose calls that might go for or against your team.
McManaman dodging, McManaman scoring! There's a point between the teams, and Kevin McManaman has kicked a beauty.
I suppose the other thing that I found very important, especially for Dublin this year, was our pre-game routine. So we'd always have, I suppose, set routines, set meal times, and I would always do the same thing the night before a game, whether it's a Burn Cup match in January in front of 100 people, or whether it's an All-Ireland final in front of 80,000 people. So I try not to change my routine at all. So it gives you that real comfort, and you only really know it when in an All-Ireland semi-final or All-Ireland final, when the media spotlight is on you and you just want to get away from it, and kind of your routine. And I suppose my routine over the last couple of years has been kind of my sanctuary in the lead up to big games. I suppose a few things that work for me, dealing with setbacks correctly, or things like dealing with stuff in games. So whether there's a bad call from a referee or one of the guys is sent off or something like that, I think the quicker you can flip that switch, put it behind you, and just get on with it. So I think that's the better chance you have of I suppose being successful. So it kind of comes down to that you can always stay, I suppose, in your sport, in that moment that you're in, not think about the past or not into the future, or as we used to call it, crystal ball gazing. It's not about looking into, I suppose, 10 minutes we could be All-Ireland champions. It's looking about, well, what are we doing now? Where's the next ball? And that's probably a cliche. GA is always working the next ball, but I suppose it has a lot of truth, that you can always stay in that moment and work on winning the next ball or doing the right thing for the next ball. I think that's the most important thing. And the way you battle when you think you're about to win a title or you're about to lose a title, it's very hard to do that. But I think that's one of the real differences to winning some of the bigger games.
When it came to fight time, there was always pressure. And at the Olympics, there's a lot of pressure. You go into the Olympic Games or Europeans or whatever it is, knowing that you have put in everything and anything that's possible and necessary to be successful. I found maybe on one or two occasions when you're in a contest, and if in the early rounds, and if you get hit hard, you say, wow, that hurt, and suddenly that can take confidence out of you. But for me, I would immediately dispatch that from my mind, that there is no way I can let this bother me, there is no way I can let this affect my performance here tonight.
What advice can you give to athletes to develop their mental strength?
It's all about hard road work, doing the right kind of road work, getting to bed at the right time, getting proper diet and nutrition. Just working extremely hard, whether it's on the road, whether it's in the gym, whether it's in the sparring, whether it's on pads, working extremely hard. If you have a bit of talent, you have a bit of skill, if you are prepared to put in the hard work, there's a great chance you're going to be successful.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Tennis is, very tough mentally in that you're out there on your own. But any sport, I think the mental part of it is a huge percentage. You can have all the physical talents, and if you don't have, say, the capacity to work hard every day and the capacity to perform under pressure in the matches, then you're not going to be successful. So it's a massive part of it, and it's something that you have to try and develop. And I think it gets more and more important as you step onto the professional stage and the elite level. When the margins get smaller and smaller, the mental edge that you can give yourself can make a difference. Everybody develops their own routines naturally, so between point routines, preparing for match on the day routines, but then kind of bigger things like at the start of the year I would have always written down goals that I wanted to set or wanted to achieve, so short-term goals over say 3 months, and then a longer-term goal over the full year, and I'd always write that down. I remember speaking to a sports psychologist before, and I had goals, but I had never written them down, and I think when you write them down, you make that little extra commitment to it, and it sort of firms up in your own head what those goals are. So that was always a big thing for me, and I think another big turning point in my career actually was letting go of mistakes in matches and in practice, and not getting down on myself when I made an error, and that's something that every tennis player, you see juniors all around the world getting very frustrated when they make a mistake in a match. And I used to do it as well. I would let go of errors a lot better, and it really helped me.
Connor, what advice can you give to other sportsmen and women to develop their mental strength?
I definitely think routines are very important in matches, and also think that developing those routines in practice and trying to practice how you would play the match, I think they're very important. So trying to practice with a lot of intensity, try and put something on it in practice, and that will help you translate it in a match situation. Being able to let go of an error is a massive thing that really helped me in my career. So when you make a mistake, don't give out to yourself too much. It's something you can maybe work on in practice, but during in a match situation, if you make a mistake, you just got to try and put it behind you. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's a huge important part of it.
Cian, during your climb to the summit of Mount Everest, how important was mental strength for you?
Mental strength was really the key to my success, in both my training and my journey to the top of Everest. You couldn't have climbed the mountain unless I was mentally strong. When you're physically good and you're technically excellent, but if you don't have it upstairs, it's going to be very difficult to achieve goals like that. On the mountain, being strong mentally is 70% of the challenge when you're climbing Everest. When I got to the Hillary Step, I knew if I could climb over this section of the mountain, I was nearly there, and it gave me a huge boost of confidence mentally, that this was the last tough part of the climb. It was right up to 8,800 meters, and the Hillary Step is quite a technical section at that height, but I knew I was feeling good, and my head was, in a great place. I was so focused on the mountain, and I knew once I got over that, I was there. And again, the mental side of that section, and your body's dying, that plays on your mind, and your head really comes into play there, believing that you can do it, believing that you're nearly there, and getting over the Hillary Step at 8,800 meters, right in the death zone, is tough on the head and the body, but the head, you have to believe.
What advice can you give to other sportsmen and women to develop their mental strength.
My advice to anyone who's, trying to achieve something in any form of life, really preparation, believing in yourself, keeping your focus, keeping your concentration, setting yourself small goals, achieving those goals, give you that extra bit of confidence to move on to a bigger and harder goal. And really being strong upstairs is the most important factor to any sporting goals, business goals. Another thing, having challenges. There's always going to be challenges in your training, in whatever business, and to be able to overcome those challenges and having, been dealing with setbacks, say whether it be injuries or an avalanche on a mountain or, weather coming in that's bad, being able to handle the stress and overcome that challenge and move on to, a bigger challenge and another goal.
But routines are very short sequence of steps that take you from thinking to action, and every athlete needs a set of routines. Padraig Harrington, triple major golf champ, he says that mistakes define the boundaries, the comfort limits, and if you want to learn from mistakes, then you've got to push yourself to your boundaries. The capacity to believe in yourself, no matter who you're competing against or where you're competing. That is fundamental to success. Arsene Wenger had a lovely quotation where he said that in his job, it's not about motivating players, it's about helping them to relax enough to express their talent. And all too often, we're psyched up, but we don't have any sense of direction. And goal setting gives you a sense of direction.
Aidan, thanks a lot. That was great.